guys, and welcome to Lisa Loves. And yes, I am wearing a Christmas jumper, and no, I do not care. I love Christmas, I do not apologise for it. Facebook is full of grumpy McGrumpersons. Christmas, you can't say Christmas, it's November! Christmas. Don't care. So yeah, I picked up this lovely little jumper the other day when shopping with my mum, and there were so many Christmas jumpers. You probably wonder what I'm here to do. Well, yeah, well, you would have read the title, it's my weekly update. So I can waffle a bit more in this than I do in other videos, so you know me, I'm prone to waffle. I love robins, I adore robins. Darren says it looks like 1970s Argyle, I can't remember what he said. He said it looks like a 1970s Nordic Swedish print jumper, which I love it, I don't care. So there we are. So I'm here to do my weekly catch up and let you know what I've been watching over the past week. There are some movies that I wanted to review individually, but I just didn't get round to it. And one of those weeks where you think, I've got all these good intentions, but after October, see these people that are doing the 10-day Thanksgiving? Hats off, because after October, I could not bear to do another movie challenge. I'm just taking a sort of back seat and I'm going to switch this telly off. I keep getting distracted with the news. I've just discovered that the Belfast Christmas market has opened today or yesterday. And now I want to go to Belfast to the Christmas market. Right, I am here to do my weekly roundup of what I've been watching. So let me pop on my little screen recorder and try and remember this week when it stops. There we go. So I know Monday was the 12th. But because I recorded my last weekly update on the Sunday, I've got the Sunday night's movies here as well to let you know about. So, after October and Horror Overload, as I've often said before, am I wonky? Hang on. Oh, my recorder's on, so I don't really want to switch the camera off, sorry. The top of my head's missing. Doesn't really matter, does it? So, after Horror Overload, that was October, I decided to watch something that wasn't horror, so I went with Destination Wedding. I watched this because I'm not a rom-com fan. Let's get this straight first of all. I watched this because Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock's in it. No, she's not. Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves is in this, and that's two people I really like watching, that I really like acting. And I haven't seen Winona Ryder in ages apart from Stranger Things. So I watched this because I liked the sound of the characters. So I'll just read you what it says. Frank and Lindsay, two emotionally broken people, must attend a destination wedding. That's where you go to a wedding that's like in a foreign place. They meet and over the course of the weekend and against all odds find themselves drawn to one another as they are repulsed by one another. What I liked about this, the concept that I liked about this, is they were both really grumpy people. They hated life, they hated people, they hated weddings. And they just happen to be sort of like thrown together because they have a very similar mindset. And it was quite funny in places. I tend to watch these movies just as dramas, if you will. I don't particularly find them funny. There's little bits and bobs. There's a scene in a field where they have sex, and that is so funny. The only thing that was missing from the scene, it was so awkward, it was so cringeworthy. Just the way Keanu Reeves was trying to do his thing was so awkward. The only thing that was missing was a white bum. From a distance, is white bum. That's the only thing that would have made it funnier, but maybe that's the sort of British sense of humour that we have. Maybe that's a step too far for an American market. Maybe that would be seen as vulgar, but to me that would have just made it really funny. But there was no bum. It was okay. What did I give it on here? Let me see. I gave it a 3 out of 5. It was okay as far as that sort of thing goes. It's not my type of genre, but if you like that sort of thing, it's worth a watch just for a giggle at their personalities. So, next one is Demon House, which I watched the same night. As mass hysteria breaks out over an alleged demonic possession in an Indiana home, referred to as Portal to Hell, Ghost Adventures host and paranormal investigator Zach Baggins buys the house sight unseen over the phone. Does that even make sense? He and his crew then become the next victims of the most documented case of demonic possession in US history, the House of 200 Demons. This is put across as a true story. It's a documentary. I don't watch, what was it called? Ghost Adventures? It's the host of that buys the house. Lots of weird stuff happens. Really unfortunate things befalls everyone that has any tie to the house. The previous tenants, tenants that come back to look at the house that have been left it for many years, policeman that's involved, 2 cameramen, a paranormal expert that has worked on, is it the Amityville, the real case? He was involved. It was actually quite interesting. On IMDb, that one's rated as so fake, absolutely rubbish. But I don't really care. I just found it interesting. Whether or not it's fake, I'm not really bothered. It did have some genuinely creepy moments in it. And some of the stuff that happened to the people, I suppose it's like Blair Witch. I love Blair Witch. I don't care what people say. People, oh, it's so fake. Well, it was fake. If this is fake, I still feel it was, what's the word? It worked. There's a word that I can't think of. Yeah, I'm not going to try and think about it. Effective. I did try and think about it. I contradicted myself. It was effective. I thought it was worth watching. So that's Demon House. On to the next day, the 12th. Conjoined. Oh, God. This is a movie I reviewed for Geek Legion of Doom. I was sad about this one because I reviewed a movie maybe the week before by the same director that was called Lars the Emo Kid, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was spot on. It wasn't a horror or anything, it was just like a comedy drama, and I just felt they got the essence of growing up as an alternative kid just so well, and they made so many good points, very well made. I was really impressed by it, and then I watched this, which is by the same director, and I hated it. It's about, I'm not going to go into loads of detail, but I did the review for Geek Legion of Doom, so I will put the link below. But it's about a man that falls in love with a woman who he later finds out, he falls in love with her online. He finds out later that she has a conjoined twin. And she's not the nicest of people. Basically, the twin is a murderer. And he has to come up with an answer to what's he going to do about this situation. I didn't like it. It was very cheap. It was very, I'm not going to go into detail. The director was Joe Grassafi. So if you want to know more about that, check out the review on Geek Legion of Doom. Same night again, I watched 3 Identical Strangers. This was quite interesting. This is a documentary. Right, I'm not going to read the gump. It's a documentary about 3 guys, identical triplets. They are adopted out to different families, and by accident in 1980 they find out all about each other. One of the guys goes to a university and everyone keeps calling him by a different name, and he's like, what's going on here? And his roommate comes in to the university, and the roommate instantly knows it's not the other person, but he knows he looks just like him. This roommate is a good friend of his twin, and he's like, come with me, and he trails him outside to a phone box, and he makes him phone his twin, and he ends up talking to his twin on the phone, and his twin has his voice as well. And then there's a big media thing, it's in the newspaper, and then they find out there's a third one. And the story's basically about these 3 guys, about their history, the past, why they were given up, why they were adopted. And there's some very interesting things found out in that story. I won't spoil it if you want to see it. It's a documentary, very similar to one that I watched once about 2 girls. Exactly the same situation. They were Asian, lived on different sides of the world. I think one was English, the other was American. Really, really interesting. Very similar premise, this. As I say, it's a true story, so you can follow that and see what happens, and the media like swarming around them, and TV shows. They were on everything. They opened their own restaurant and everything. Really interesting. So what was next? Overlord. You can see what I gave it out of 5 there, 4.5. I love this. This is one that I wanted to... Oh, hang on. Phone's gone mad. I'll open that just in case you want to read it there. This is one that I wanted to do an individual review for, but just didn't get around to. I loved the hell out of this. It just ticked every damn box. The acting was amazing, the cinematography was amazing, the effects were incredible, the story was really well paced. I just loved this movie. I would recommend. I was on in two minds, should I go see this or not? And I'm so glad I went to see it because I adored it. The opening scene is obviously set during World War II, and the opening scene of them all on a plane ready to parachute in, and oh my god, it's just astounding. It's not Saving Private Ryan astounding intro, but it is scary potatoes. It really is. And it follows the story of these army guys that are dropped into France. Their job is to destroy the Germans have got a tower where they watch what do you call a tower where they watch what people are doing? Anyway, they have to destroy this tower to enable the sea patrol to sort of land on the beaches. And it covers these American soldiers coming in and trying to get this job done so that their allied forces can come in and hit the beaches. And when they're doing that, they discover that there's other stuff afoot. The Germans it's put across as a zombie movie. I get why that's what it's put across as, but the Germans are experimenting on people, and that's where our zombies come from. That's all I'll say. But it's just fantastically handled. It's so well done. I loved it. I would love to see another one of these. I mean, I quite like military horror when it's done well. I mean, Dog Soldiers, I adore. There's another one, is it called Trenches? Oh, Outpost. Why did I think it was called Trench? Outpost, I really like that one. But this is just incredible. This is probably as good as Dog Soldiers to me. My favourite character in this, I watched Drewski McGillicuddy's review on this, and I just agree spot on with what he said. He called the character in New York. Can you get actors in this? I went and got IMDb because I didn't want to talk waffle to you. This guy here, John Magaro, he plays Vince in Orange is the New Black. He is incredible. He plays Tibbet is the character name is in this, and he is just the bee's knees. He's so funny, he's just such a believable character. I loved him. This guy, Pilao I don't know how you pronounce that. Aspike. He was scary guy. He was awesome. Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's son, is in this. And before I go off that page, that Yovana Depo, oh, he was amazing. He's the two male leads there. You've got him and Wyatt Russell, and they both do an incredible job. They're both fantastic. Kurt Russell's son reminded me so much of my mate Dave from Nottingham. You hear me talk about Kelly and Dave. Reminded me so much of Dave. He looked an awful lot like him. But go out, see Overlord, folks. It's well worth it. It's such a good movie. So I'm doing loads of waffling. Where's the time? Oh, I keep stopping it so I can't see how long I've been talking for. Next was A Crooked Somebody. This one was actually quite interesting. But A Crooked Somebody follows a crook psychic, one of those people that says really broad things. Someone in this area knows somebody with a name starting with J, you know, that kind of thing. And he openly admits to people that know him that he's a crook. He's, you know, what he's doing. He doesn't talk to dead people. He doesn't, you know, he doesn't have that talent. And somebody comes along to one of his shows that is a bit dim, but he's a criminal, and this criminal has, I don't feel I'm giving away too much by saying this. The criminal has, because this happens right at the start, he has murdered someone many years ago. He obviously hasn't managed to completely forgive himself. He has come along, and some of the stuff that this psychic says just coincidentally happens to be true. He's like, someone in this area, someone with the name starting with a J, is it James, is it Jimmy? And that actually means something to this guy, but he doesn't say anything. Instead, afterwards, he kidnaps the psychic. He's going to kill him, but the psychic, quick-thinkingly manages to use the situation to his advantage and ends up getting this guy to take him across the country to speak to this deceased person's daughter. And it follows the whole story of him trying to get this criminal's good side, to sort of like try and get him to trust him, to see if he can stop this guy from murdering him, to get rid of him because he knows now what he's done. I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was quite good. The performances in this were spot on. I cannot open it up to tell you who the actors are in it, but I would recommend it. It was very good. Crooked Somebody. I gave that 3.5 out of 5. The Dark. I know I've given that a 3.5. I was a bit disappointed by this one. This is one that was recommended by Aaron from Screen Stars. He was blown away by this. He said it was similar to Let the Right One In and Wildling, both of which I love. And I do get that comparison, definitely, but I don't feel it was as good as either of those movies. Let me read it. A murderous, flesh-eating, undead young girl haunting the remote stretch of woods where she was murdered decades earlier discovers a kidnapped and abused boy hiding in the trunk of one of her victim's cars. Her decision to let the boy live throws her aggressively solitary existence into upheaval and ultimately forces her to re-examine just how much of her humanity her murderer was able to destroy. It follows this friendship between this undead girl and this boy who cannot actually see her. He is blind. I won't go into details about that, but he cannot see how she looks. I quite enjoyed this film. I thought the performances were very strong. I thought it was very engaging. I thought it was beautifully filmed. But there's aspects of it that didn't make sense to me. And when I finish a movie and I find myself Googling ending of The Dark explained, and it's still not making any sense to me. I did not understand the ending of this movie at all. I just didn't get it. It just was completely out of left field. I'm thinking, what the hell's going on? I'll not tell you what it is, but if you've seen it, tell me below in the spoilers what that ending meant, right at the end. I don't get it. I did like it. I did think it was well worth watching. It was a good movie. I just didn't think it was amazing. So, Slenderman. So many of you warned me. So many of you warned me about this one, but I had to see it with my own eyes. I haven't heard one positive word said about this movie. Well, I have. I've heard people say some of the imagery is quite good and creepy. The cinematography in the woods is quite good, which I agree with, very much so. I actually felt that for the most part the acting performances in this were quite good. There were some occasions where the dialogue was crap, where the actual script itself was terrible. I did not feel that the actresses were bad in this. I thought they were good. It was just such a wasted potential. Slenderman's story is genuinely a creepy story. The whole image of the Slenderman is scary. Even reading the creepypastas is scary, but the movie is not. It's very generic. It may appeal to, like mid-teen, like 14, 15-year-old girls may enjoy this one, but it's not one that's ever going to appeal to adults or older people. Or why is screen recording saved? Why have you stopped recording? They do this on me every time. So, yeah, I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was the worst thing I'd ever seen, and I think people are saying it's just atrocious. It's not atrocious. It's not great. It's not amazing. It's probably not even good. It's okay. It's not as bad as people say. Yeah. So next was Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot. I watched this one purely because Joaquin Phoenix is in it and I really like him. This is based on a true story. On the rocky path to sobriety after a life-changing accident, John Callahan discovers the healing power of art, wooing his injured hands into drawing hilarious, often controversial cartoons. And then it says, which bring him a new, and then I can't get the page open. Basically this follows the artist that did work for an American newspaper as a cartoonist. His cartoons were often very controversial, were usually very controversial, and half of his audience loved them and half were deeply offended by them. A lot of people used to approach him in the street and tell him how sick he was. and other people would approach him and tell him how funny he was, how, you know, congratulate him. And it's his true story. He started off as an alcoholic. He had an accident which left him quadriplegic. He did regain some use of his upper body, it was very limited though, very, very limited use of his upper body, and he went on to become a cartoonist, and it's his story and about his struggle with his alcoholism and just him discovering a new lease of life. It was an interesting enough movie. It wasn't My Left Foot. I don't know if you've seen My Left Foot with Daniel Day-Lewis, which is incredible. It wasn't on that level. It wasn't that good a biography, but it was interesting to watch. Where are we? Soft Matter. I have just reviewed this just before doing this for Wild Eye. I've yet to put that video up. All I will say is I really did not like this. I liked nothing about this. I will have a review for this. If you want to watch it, I will put the link below in the comments. It was awful. And the same night, it really was not a good night for movies. Along Came the Devil. This is a Netflix one, I believe. After a troubled childhood, Ashley searches for a connection and unknowingly invites in a demonic force, which leaves her loved ones fighting for her soul. This was just poor in every sense of the word. The story was... I wanted to fall asleep, but I am an insomniac, so I didn't. And I wished I had have done. It was just really, really poor. There was just nothing positive. It's just so dull. And I can't even say it was generic because it was worse than generic. It was just boring on every level. And then next night, which was last night, I watched Patient Zero. This one gets such bad reviews. It's ridiculous. After an unprecedented global pandemic has turned the majority of humankind into violent infected beings, Morgan, a man gifted with the ability to speak the infected's new language, leads the last survivors on a hunt for Patient Zero and a cure. This one attracted me because of the cast. The cast is incredible. Stanley Tucci was in it. What's that big tall guy with a quiff that used to play Doctor Who? Oh, is it something Smith? I've forgotten. You know what? I'm going to have to go into IMDb. Patient Zero. There it is. Natalie Dormer is the word I'm looking for. She used to be... she was in Game of Thrones. She's in it as a doctor. Very plummy English doctor. Stanley Tucci's in it. That's him. Matt Smith. Clive Standen. It's got an awesome... There's that guy out of Game of Thrones as well. He's in it with the worst American accent you've ever heard in your life. It was not good. The reviews were quite warranted. The effects were good. It had a really high production value. You could see that by watching it. It had an awesome cast, but it just was missing something really major. It wasn't a good movie. It was just one of those that you find yourself feeling really disappointed with. And how they got that cast and made that movie, I have no idea. I was so disappointed with this one. Later that night, I watched this one, Cam. This is one that's popped up on Netflix recently. I saw Spooky Astronauts do a review on this. Saw it pop up on Amazon or on Netflix and thought, right, let me watch her review first. See what it's like, and if it's any good, I'll give it a go. Because the last 3 movies I'd watched had been trash. I'm like, I don't want to see another bad movie, please. So she'd said that it was excellent, that it was really good, so I thought I'd give it a go. So it says, a young cam girl discovers that she's inexplicably been replaced on her site with an exact replica of herself. This movie is actually really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Cam girl, for anyone that doesn't know, is just one of those girls that is in front of a camera. You've got the line of chat down the side. People are telling her different things to do and tipping her a certain amount of money to do them, and she'll do whatever people are asking her to do. It's not, for anyone thinking, there's not a lot of like nudity, and there is nudity in it. There's like boobs in it, and I think that's it. It's not like what you would expect. It's not really rude, so if you're watching it for that reason, you're going to be disappointed. There's a little nudity in it. So she works for this site, I think it's called Free Girls Live, and she finds out that someone is basically online as her, who looks exactly like her, sounds exactly like her, looks like they're in her apartment, all the same decor, and she cannot get into her account, she cannot change her password. The people, when she phones for support, won't help her. She's basically stuck in this position where she's been locked out of her account, locked out of her money, and this girl is doing some really, pushing the envelope to like do things that she would never have done herself. And she begins to see that there's something a bit strange and a bit weird about this girl and about this situation, and it's about her getting to the bottom of what's going on and trying to find a resolution to it. The ending of this is amazing. It's fantastic. I did not see it coming. Anyone that works out what she does to try and fix the situation, to try and get back into her account, anyone that works out what she does, I will give a medal to, because it's like, oh my god, I so did not see that coming. It's really original film, it's really fresh, it doesn't feel like anything else. The girl that acts in it, her performance is fantastic. Again, this Letterboxd, why does it not give you... Oh, if you scroll down, there's all the information. How frustrating. Right, so it's Madeline Brewer plays Lola. Her name is Alice, and her screen persona is Lola. And I really recommend that. I thought it was really good. Like I say, it's on Netflix at the moment. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure it's on Netflix US, because it's on the UK Netflix, and Spooky Astronauts is obviously in Australia, and she saw it on Netflix. So yeah, I can cut this off now. There we go. So that is the movies that I have watched this week. I can't believe I didn't know that you scrolled down and it had all the information. I am such a doofus. So that's what I have watched this week in the way of movies. TV. I'll try not to be too long. I'll try not to keep you too long. What's wrong, Molly? I'll let you out in a minute. Molly's staring at me. So, I've been starting to watch American Horror Story again. I think the dog's coming. Are you coming up? What are you doing? Come on. Come on. Oh, there she is. You sit there. Don't lick my face though. So, I've got back into watching American Horror Story, so I've been doing that. Always Sunny, I'm still watching. I watch a thing on Netflix, which I watch every night to wind myself down with something banal and stupid. 1,000 Ways to Die, where it just documents really ridiculously stupid ways people have died. It's like the Darwin Awards, stupid things people have done and died. So I watch that every night, but I finished that. There's no more episodes, so I've exhausted that. I'm a Celebrity started last night. For anyone in the US, I was trying to explain this to Strange Monkey, what it is. It's like a cross between Survivor and Fear Factor, but with celebrities. They basically take, I don't know, just say 12 celebrities. They put them into the Australian jungle. They have to live together there. They are on very basic rations of rice and beans. They sleep outside, they have an outside loo, all these things, and they have to do challenges every day, which the public vote for, who's going to do it, to win stars, and those stars win them meals. So, and they have to prepare it, and they get things like alligator tail. What are you meant to do with that? You know, they have to cook them all. And these trials are called Bush Tucker trials. And the one tonight, which we'll be watching, is called Viper Pit. And it's like where you have to put your hand into a hole and you can't see what's in it, and it's all... You have to try and get the star out. And each star you get equates 1 meal for camp. So you're needing to get 10 or 12 stars, and some people get none, which means the camp don't eat that night. People go on this, I think it runs for, is it 3 or 4 weeks? And some people come out of it having lost 2 stone. Honestly, 2 stone for people that don't talk in stones is £28. If you're talking kilos, I don't know. So I love it. It's got, things with heights on. It's got things where people put big glass bowls in their head and fill it with huntsman spiders and bugs and crickets, and They've got one that's quite contentious with a lot of people, which is eating bugs and spiders and witchetty grubs and stuff. I know a lot of people don't like that because the animals are live. They've got people being buried in graves with rats. There's loads of snake ones. I love it. I just really, really enjoy it. Sorry, Molly's getting right in there, aren't you? So it started last night. So I'll be watching that for the next few weeks every night. Molly, come on now. So yeah, that's I'm a Celebrity. Another program I watched last night that was actually really good. I'm going to watch, I don't know how many episodes there are. It's on Netflix. It's called November 13. And it's actually about the events in Paris of the night of the Bataclan attack. The first episode follows everything that happened in the restaurants, you know, in the terraces and the cafes just before the Bataclan, and the failed explosion just outside the stadium that night that happened before the Bataclan. And obviously episode 2 is going to be the Bataclan. It's really moving, really, really, really interesting, moving documentary series. It's horrendous. I remember following this on telly. It came up on the internet when it was very fresh. It just happened, and me and my husband followed it on like world news. So I remember it really vividly. We sat through the night following the news and what was happening. But yeah, that program follows the whole scenario and what happened. Have to mention the new John Lewis advert, starring Elton John. This will mean nothing to you guys in America, but in the UK, John Lewis is a big department store like Harrods. No, Harrods is London. What have you got in America? Liberty's, where they do a Christmas advert every year, but there's always massive complaints about how much it costs. And we're talking millions here, guys, for a Christmas advert. This year's Christmas advert, now I will say I love this advert. I do think the money they spend on these things is excessive and could be better used somewhere else. Like, I would really happily watch a advert every year detailing... Did you fart then? You were sniffing your bum. Hope not. My new jumper. I would gladly watch an advert that shows like charities that have, you know, benefited from donations from John Lewis every Christmas. That would make me feel, you know, warm and cheery and make me want to do things to help other people. But anyway, taking the money that's spent aside, and I've heard they paid Elton John $5 million for this. Now, he has donated most of this to the Elton John Charitable Trust, which is obviously going to be donated to various charities, so that's cool, but it's so much money. Anyway, this advert follows, if you look up YouTube you'll find it, just look up John Lewis advert Elton John. I think it's just in UK TVs at the minute. It starts off with Elton John, the age he is now, tinkering on his piano, and it follows his career back through his many guises and different looks, and when he was bald and the big glasses, and it takes him right back to playing piano at the school play, and then it takes him to being a little boy, and then it takes him back and he must have been like 3, and he's coming downstairs on Christmas morning really excited, and his parents have bought him his very first piano, and he sits and he presses one of the keys, and then it cuts back to him as an old man. Like here, well, he's not an old man, but it cuts back to him now with the same piano, pressing the same keys, looking really wistful. Obviously, as he started, it's taken him back in years thinking about his life and what's gone. And the tagline is something like, "Some gifts are not just a gift." And it's a beautiful advert, it's so moving. But $5 million? Oh. But the good side of it is that a lot of that's gone to charity, but there is a lot of money then that John Lewis spent on promotion and marketing and getting the slots between the popular programmes, so yeah, just had to mention that. This time of year I have to mention the John Lewis advert, it's a big thing in the UK. And music wise this week, I've been listening to loads of various stuff. I came across a load of my old various CDs, which I used to burn like just individual tracks that I really liked. So I found those and got them burnt onto a USB, and I've got them in the car, and it's got loads of stuff. It's awesome. I've been listening to a bit of Neil Diamond. I love Neil Diamond. I just would love to have seen him live. I've written some of the bands down that are on it. Rainbow, Deep Purple, Green Day, Stained, Within Temptation, Biff Naked, Jimmy Eat World, Lennon, Dead or Alive. You know that one, You Spin Me Right Round, that one, I love that. So yeah, loads and loads and loads of various songs on the one CD, or on the one... Are you talking? What were you saying then? Eh? So yeah, I have waffled enough. I will now go and see if the doggy wants to go outside. She doesn't like the cold weather, she doesn't like the rain. She likes sleep. And she likes eating, don't you? So she is definitely, most definitely my dog. Aren't you, Molly? Molly Moo Moo. No, don't know what she's doing. Right, I will go now. I will leave you with that for the week. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone is having a good week. I don't know if I'm doing any videos this week. I'm supposed to do one in my recommend series. I will have a think about that and come back midweek and do that for you. But for now, thank you for watching and listening. Am I boring you? Am I boring you, Molly? I bet you're speaking for so many viewers out there, eh? It's over and out from Lisa Loves and Molly. Bye.